All right, guys, what is going on? It's EK here, and today we're gonna talk about something that's been a little bit controversial in the Warzone world. Now, if you've been kind of paying attention to a lot of the pro area, so Aiden and a bunch of his friends basically set a world record for the most kills ever in a uh, quads Warzone game. It was like 162 kills or something. Basically, more kills than the lobby can even hold. So therefore, they're killing people twice. A lot of times, in a lot of cases, probably. But however, it's getting a lot of scrutiny because these guys are all pro players. Like all if you look at the SBMM of each of these guys' stats, all of them are 5 KD. I think Aiden is the only one at like 4.92, which might as well be a 5. Doesn't really matter. The problem is that they're in a bronze 1 lobby. So that's the kind of the part that's like really makes it seem less deserving, so to say, because like at the end of the day, it's kind of like an NBA team saying like, oh look, we set the world record for scoring the most points in a game. We scored 300 points, but the team they're playing against is like a Division 3 NCAA team. Like it's a really crappy people. Like there's like no one like average KD in that. I think in that server was like point 0.8 or something like that. Like these are really average players going against pros, right? So kind of have to ask, like, is it really deserving? Are they really deserving of this kind of accolade? Or, obviously, it would have been better if they had gotten this type of record in a platinum or a diamond lobby, like something around more their level. But the fact that they did it in a bronze just kind of makes it look a little bit worse. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? Like, yes, it is a bronze 1 lobby, and it's not exactly like they're not exactly playing against really good people, but arguably at least 90% of the Warzone player base couldn't even do nearly anything what they could do. Like let's just face it, including myself, like I'd only have like a 1.23 KD, so therefore, like if I was in a bronze, like the lowest bronze lobby there is, I wouldn't be able to get half as many kills as these guys. And to be honest, most people can't even get like they won't even be able to get a cumulative 50 kills in the worst lobbies. So it's kind of like, yes, these guys, the way with their skill level, they should be able to arguably maybe even do more, or they should be doing this in a lobby that's a little bit more difficult. But everyone that's giving these guys so much scrutiny and like so much crap about, oh, it's been a bronze 1 lobby, it's like, dude, like you wouldn't even be able to get half as many kills as them. So like let's not make it seem like they're not that much better than you are, at the end of the day. And also, let's not forget, in order for these guys to get that many kills, they have to split up the team. Each player basically going 1v4 against a quarter of the lobby. And the only way for them to get that many points is to split up, because otherwise they can't. They can't team up on other teams, because like now you're just splitting half the kills between you and another player. So in order for each player to get as many kills as they humanly can, they have to split up. So that means more than often they're not going 1v1 against players. They're going 1v2, 1v3, and maybe even 1v4. And that means, like, as a player, you have to be good enough to isolate the other teammates, like the enemy team, into like 1v1 situation, or really be good with how you're stunning them, or maybe know how to like snipe really quickly or whatever, right? Like you have to be a lot more strategic, a lot more tactical in those senses. And granted, like, yes, a lot of these players, maybe they have like a .7 KD, they're not good players, but even if between 4 players and they have an average accuracy of like 25%, if all 4 of them aggro at you and have a 25% accuracy, they're still hitting you 100%. Like, so like that's still 4 times the amount of bullets hitting you versus you hitting them, right? So like if you do the math statistically, they are still at a disadvantage. Like these pro players are still at a but it gives them the advantage, the fact that they know the map extremely well. They know how to be tactical. They know how to go against a 1v ever, and that's because like they have so much game. Their IQ of the game is so much higher. I mean, if you were to compare like going back to the NBA example, if you were to compare an NBA player versus like a college player, their IQ of like basketball is like ridiculously high. You know, like in terms of like how they like kind of analyze the situation when they at a certain play, they know so much about what's going on the court that excuse me, that the average player would not even think about. And these are the level. This is the level that these players are at, and it kind of sucks that like obviously like when you can't compare like NBA players with average players in like sports. Like in fact, I think sports pros get a lot more respect than esports pros. I think, and like, a lot of it really comes down to like because like okay, one in like a million players like in this world can be a pro sports athlete. Like let's think about it. Like growing up, there's like millions of kids that play, high school basketball, right? Millions of kids that play high school basketball. Only a handful of those kids get to go to Division I colleges. And even within Division I colleges, there's probably a couple thousand players. And out of those couple thousand players, only a small percentage of them get even drafted to the NBA, let alone become good in the NBA, right? A lot of people get drafted, but they never do anything, and then there are those players that, that are first round draft picks that, go on to become great things. But not every first round draft pick becomes great. Like look at John Wall. Not that he's a bad player. He's a first round draft pick, but he's not exactly doing what LeBron or Kobe did, So there's a lot of players that are drafted real early that still don't go on great things. And so in order to get like, LeBron level, like Kobe level, Kevin Durant level in the NBA, it's extremely rare. And I feel like it's the same thing for the gaming world. Like if you want to get to the level of like, I don't know if Aiden and them are at that level, but like, there's a lot of those pro players that are at, that this certain level that the average player will never get to. And you can kind of see it already in Warzone stats. Like, I mean, I think I'm only at a 1.2 KD, like, and that is in the top 20 of Warzone KDs. Top 20. That means 80% of the lot of Warzone players are below a 1.2. So you can imagine like kind of where the gap is between like what the KDs are like in the Warzone world. And I think a lot of it, I think a lot of the problem between why people think why people often discredit pro players in the gaming world is because a lot of players think they can become pro, or at least think that they're like, they're not just as good as pros, but like they don't definitely hold them as a high regard as they would in the sports world. They think like, oh yeah, they're good and they're better than me, but they're not that much better than me. I can probably kill them, a good amount of times if we were in like a one-on-one match or something. And it's like, yeah, you probably could, but so can, like if LeBron plays 1v5 against even a high school team, even the high school team can score on him every once in a while. He can't, shadow clone himself and like make himself four more versions of himself out of nowhere, so like even they will score a little bit on him, but that doesn't make them remotely equivalent to his level of gameplay, right? So I think that's kind of where the disconnect a lot of people like they don't get is like, oh, like these pro players, they should be doing X, Y, and Z. It's like, but like it's not like you could do it, dude. Like this, like, and that's like my main point. It's like, yes, at the end of the day, it's a bronze one lobby. So it's kind of like it kind of dampers that accolade a lot more than it could be, but at the same time, it's like, look, 90% of these players of the Warzone people wouldn't even be able to do this in the first place. So it's like you wouldn't even be able to get half as many or quarter as many kills. Like, I mean, probably in most lobbies, like the combined, kill of like, the top teams are probably in the 20 and 30 range. And these guys got 4 times, 5 times more than that. So it's like, are you seeing, and yes, that means like these players are 5 times better than you, if not more. In fact, like they probably would have done better if like maybe if people didn't quit so quickly, or maybe people were better at reviving each other, or like better at like winning gulags or something. They probably would have came back even more and killed more people. But anyways, like at least to myself, like I really feel like the kind of crap that Aiden and their friends are getting is like, it's kind of dumb. Like, it's just like, and then obviously there's always the people that's like, oh yeah, these guys are hacked. And that's always like their first go-to. And like usually the people that accuse other people of hacking are the fools that think, one, they're better at the game than they really are, and two, they can't comprehend just how good pros are. Like, again, I'm gonna go back to the basketball analogy. It's like when you like, just this past weekend was the NBA All-Star weekend, and if you watch like either the dunk contest or the 3-point contest, these athletes make it look so easy to make those shots. Just like when Steph Curry was just shooting his threes, it looks so effortlessly when he just makes like 5 in a row, and it's just like, is he even trying? And even when they do the dunks, like some of them look very simple, but I can guarantee you, if you ever tried mimicking some of these dunks, it's hard. And so my gameplay just ran out. But anyways, I'm just gonna keep talking. Like, I really feel like I need to get my point out. And basically, what I need to say is that, like, look, yeah, Aiden and these guys, look, yeah, they did a bronze 1 lobby, but at the end of the day, you know what? These guys are doing something that the majority of Warzone players are not able. And any other player that thinks that, any other normal player that's not a pro, that doesn't even have a KD anywhere near their KD, that think like, oh, I could probably do the same if I had the same lobby. No, you can't. And because no, you can't. And the reason I say that is because if you could, you would have done it already. All right. Like, let's not pretend and kid yourselves that you would have been able to do the same thing, because you could have gathered a bunch of friends, done something to reverse boost into a bronze 3, bronze 4 lobby and do the same thing. Like, so like, and seriously, if you think you can do it, then go do it. Like, reverse boost yourselves into that situation and go, 1v4 a couple of teams and see what happens. And I bet, and I can guarantee that there'll be no average team that can even come close to it. So, but that's just my thoughts on this whole kind of, I don't know if you can call it controversy, but just like the uproar in the Warzone community, where you have a lot of these not hack players, like, they're probably better than me, but like they think way too highly of themselves, and they're not giving enough enough. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments about the whole Aiden world record thing. What do you feel? If you disagree, do you not agree? Let me know.